all of her own strengths and deficits, self-perceived strengths and deficits, showed up in this place where she had her heart invested in. Today I'm going to show you how the mirror method works in your workplace. Most of us have a lot of interactions in the workspace, and how you're showing up at work or how your relationships at work show up for you are a direct reflection of the condition of your mind and the condition of your heart. And that's how the mirror method works. Through your relationships, it's going to show you what your dominant thoughts are and your dominant feelings are. They play out in the most interesting and intricate ways. I'm going to start with an example from one of my clients. She had a history of having really poor credit and losing access to a major credit, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And she worked diligently to correct that and fix that. And she got this high-performing job at a very prestigious Fortune 50 or Fortune 100 company. She was constantly worried about her credit score because of this company that she's working for. They do a full background check, and she was worried that her poor credit or bankruptcy or anything like that would have been part of it. And she didn't have any bankruptcy in her background, but she did have really poor credit for a while, but not during the time that she went to apply for this position. One colleague that she didn't like, that it just rubbed her the wrong way from the beginning, would randomly come and talk to her about, oh, guess what? They're going to check your credit score. Guess what? Check your credit score. And we had to really process this in therapy to understand, like, why is this happening? Because it was so specific and so nuanced. And I used the mirror method to help her see why this is showing up in her life. Because in her heart, it was a big fear that she had. And in her mind, it was an area where she felt really poorly about herself, or she felt a deficit about herself. That exact specific thing showed up in a place where she was very invested to be in. She really wanted to work in this company, and as her heart and mind opened up to this position, and she felt like she was turning another leaf, and that she was really coming out of an old paradigm and an old way of being and old patterns, one of them including poor spending habits and not having enough savings, and that she was in a really good place at this point, but she was having a hard time having her thoughts and feelings, her mind and her heart, catch up to who she is today. Those past concerns were showing up as literally her own mental dialogue happening through another person in this new place that she's trying to establish herself. Because all of her own strengths and deficits, self-perceived strengths and deficits, showed up in this place where she had her heart invested in. You know, again, someone talking about your credit score, that's so random, it's so nuanced, it's so specific. It's not something that you hear, and in most companies that it would be on somebody's radar. So I helped her see that this person that she doesn't like anyway to begin with, that rubbed her the wrong way, is literally the voice in her own head that has been telling her to feel bad about herself, or to that inner dialogue, that negative self-talk. That was literally her own negative self-talk and her own feelings of deficit about herself that was manifesting and showing up through the most specific relationship at work with somebody that she doesn't even know, that doesn't know anything about her, doesn't know her background. She was just in orientation phase. This was being said about her. Everything worked fine in the onboarding and orientation, and she was cleared completely with her background. There was no issues, but she couldn't get past her own hangups about herself, or her own negative self-talk, or she hadn't fully processed how deeply that financial impact had an impact on her, or the financial deficit had an impact on her. And we had to process that. Once we processed that, the coworker that was making comments about her credit score completely just wasn't in the mix anymore. Wasn't showing up in her day-to-day work environment, and that feeling about her hang-ups and her insecurities around her past credit score helped to dissipate. So the transformation happened there, where she had to to see her own internal dialogue face to face, what it looks like, what it feels like through someone she doesn't like, and for her to realize she doesn't like talking about herself that way. She doesn't like that negative self-talk about herself that way as well. And once she came to that breakthrough, that's where the transformation happened. And that same credit card company gave her an unlimited credit line. She got a credit line through her employer as well, and she's doing great financially. She has enough to pay full cash for a house or a condo here in Southern California, which is a very big milestone to achieve, especially from going to a place where she had hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt to now having enough money to purchase a condo. That's a big deal. But that's a part of that inner transformation, that she had to see how good her choices are now, and she had to also develop that positive internal self-talk and that positive feeling. So once her heart and her mind caught up to her actions, how her lifestyle has changed and how she's making better choices, then everything started to fall into place for her. And she's rocking it at work too. She's like one of the highest performers in her position and is being seen to get promoted into very high ranks within a year or two. So she just had to really genuinely change her internal dialogue for that big leap transformation to happen. So hopefully this was helpful for you. And if you've ever seen a very specific nuanced thing showing up in your life, a topic that someone else, a complete stranger, is bringing up for you, perhaps you might try the mirror method to see what your thoughts and feelings are about that topic within yourself, and see if that's a direct reflection of your internal world, or how you're showing up, or a projection of your thoughts and your feelings. So go ahead and leave a comment about your experience with the mirror method. If you've had a very specific, nuanced experience with someone mirroring something internal within you. And I'll catch you in the next video. May peace be with you.